make my website responsive? I know different layouts. I can make flexbox layout. I can align the items left, right, center. But how do I make it, work? Yeah, so that it is usable. It looks good. It looks available in all the devices. So whatever content I am intended to present to the user, it should be consumable in all forms of device and yeah, form factors. So it is basically a set of guidelines, yeah. And so if you follow that guidelines, yeah, if you follow those techniques, then we can actually make our web page as responsive. So we have a dedicated section here. I think this is a very simple walkthrough of what is actually responsive design. I think to start with, this much is good enough to start with for you to understand. Yeah. But also I think at the end I am going to mention there's another big series where you can read more and even in detail about it. That's the second visit. First visit, first learning, I think if you have this much idea, which is good enough. Alright, so let's understand what it is. Okay. So you see what I was saying, you make a web page which fits or usable in desktop. Same thing is also usable in tablet. We don't know, again, tablet there are different modes, landscape or portrait mode. We don't know how the user is going to use it, and it should be usable in phone also. Yeah, so that's what is responsive design. So they're given this website. So let me show you how does this look like. The same content is presented. Okay, okay, same content is going to be presented in different screen sizes. So see now, so you've got, this is a full desktop website. This is a desktop view, and I'm going to reduce it. This might look like, yeah, tablet view, and that to portrait mode. Yeah, tablet landscape might look like something like this. Tablet portrait might look like this. Do you see it? Tablet, tablet portrait,
Yes, sir.
and in mobile. See now, this is how it is going to look like. Now the thing here is, okay, in the responsiveness or making the responsive, we don't change the HTML. Content is fixed. We don't change at all. This HTML, whatever I written, is not going to change whether you use it from mobile or tablet or desktop. HTML, the content is fixed, but then how you display it is what we are going to handle it, part of responsive web design. We write CSS actually. We are going to learn now set of CSS technique that actually makes, yeah, our page responsive. Is it clear? So we are learning CSS techniques mostly. Yes, there is one technique with respect to HTML including a viewport tag, but mostly I would say, or I would say mix of both HTML and CSS. Take it like that. All right. So this is what is responsive web design. I mean, yeah, just getting an example of how we make it. Now let us learn, okay, how we can actually make, yeah, how to achieve this responsive design. What are the techniques we have? So for the first technique or the first thing is actually called viewport meta tag. We already know what is actually a viewport. I've been talking about what is viewport in, I think, when we are learning multiple, yeah, I mean the other properties we have discussed. I think we have discussed viewport units. We have also discussed during the position. So viewport basically the the white screen that you see here, the visible area. For example, here this is that visible area viewport. You can see the size as 469 by 544. That's called viewport. Yeah. So how much the user is able to see. So that size is also not fixed because if again based on the different devices we are, and we cannot fix it, correct? We cannot say viewport is going to be this much only. It is going to vary. So now how do we make you know when the viewport is varying, how do we make the things work? So that is using, yeah, one thing called as there's a meta tag. If you remember, we used to add boilerplate code and say exclamation. You remember this code was getting generated, and if you see this line number 6 is the technique, through which we make our content responsive. It has few values here which we need to understand. Basically, this is called viewport meta tag. This we need to add to make things responsive. That's what the guideline says. Yeah, and that this particular tag is also meant for that. I mean, this value and the name viewport. So here you see in the content we are saying width is device width and initial scale is 1.0. So the way that particular width is being assigned is how much over the device width. If you open mobile, then that much width. If you open a tablet, so and so width. So we are not fixing the width. So through this, basically, we are directing the browser, okay, to consider a width such a way as actual device width. And initial scale we say is 1.0, which means we are telling the browser not to zoom, okay, or to have no zoom and just fit, you know just display it in a scale of 1. Yeah, no zoom actually. Okay, so that is what is a technique. Now what is the significance of having this? Yeah, so see, this is the explanation. Yeah, so on a first load we are telling no zoom. Here we are saying, okay, take the screen width of the device as the width of the page, and this is going to vary. So the difference with this, having a viewport tag and without a viewport tag, you can see the differences here. Do you see this is readable though the content is fully accessible? Yeah, let me show you this page without viewport. See how it is. Okay, this is without viewport, meaning in the head you see it's an empty head block where we are not seeing the viewport being added. This is how the content looks like. Okay, observe now. Now let me open with the viewport meta tag added. Okay, with the viewport meta tag added. Now I'm going to reduce this screen size. Yeah, okay, so this is with the viewport added, and let me show you the other one without viewport also. Do you see a difference? This is with and this is without. What do you see as a difference? You see, one observation you can easily make, the image is not squeezed. You see, image is perfectly fit, correct? The image has taken now full width.
Yes, sir.
It is now properly, I would say, the scaling of the image is done very properly. Here you see, it's squeezed, and I can see even a scroll is being added. So image is properly not fit actually, and even content has some scroll. And this text also is a bit smaller actually. What do you see here? The text is, uh, yeah, I think it is looking like almost same size, but you see it is readable.
Yes, sir.
And I think you can see the comparison here itself. So I am just using like with a reduced size, but if you actually open in mobile, so they're saying this is how it is. So the content is very much readable with the viewport. Here it is not at all readable, though it is displayed. Correct? So this is the significance or the purpose of having the viewport meta tag. You need to add. With that, we will be able to achieve the responsiveness to certain extent. Okay, so there are some additional rules. What they're saying, do not use large fixed width element, which means don't set width and height. Yeah, don't set width and height for elements, especially large. I mean, if at all it's a big element which is taking more size, don't set the width. We have also learned earlier that it is a bad practice, or we generally don't set the width and height. If you set it, if you fix it certain width, then it becomes challenging, right? You will get a scroll like this. Do you agree? So I've set they set 460, 345. See, I'll have to scroll because this is a fixed width. So that's a rule saying don't use large fixed width elements. And then do not let the content rely on a particular viewport width to render well. Yeah. So don't rely on one width. It should basically, yeah, fit in on all the viewport width, whatever we can think of. And the third rule says use media queries to have different styling for different screen sizes. I think this is the next thing we are going to learn. We have a technique here. So basically, in simple, use viewport, yeah, this particular tag, meta tag, right? On top of that, what? Okay, don't fix elements which are, I mean, width of elements, for example, image for some element. Don't fix the width. And don't expect that, okay, your content is only good for a particular viewport. No, should make sure that it is visible, it is fit in all the viewports. And use media queries to adjust styling for small and large screens. Alright, so this is one of the option. So let's see grid view, responsive design, grid view. So what they say is, I mean, this is mostly used by the libraries. Yeah, there is a library called Bootstrap, yeah, as you can see. So they use this 12 column grid layout actually. And we also have a CSS grid, which we have. Okay, so there also it works something of this sort. So what it means in simple, so we divide the entire page into this many columns. So let's say 12 columns. Yeah, I think I'm not so good in drawing columns now. Okay, so imagine there are 12 columns. Yeah, so now on a particular, let's say if I'm doing desktop for a given element, I might apply, okay, 10 columns, 10 column width. On a mobile, I might apply full 12 column width. Okay, so we divide screen into imaginary 12 columns, and based on what viewport, whether it is a desktop or a mobile or tablet, we are going to adjust how many columns I should assign. Okay, so yeah, this is what they are saying. Okay, this is what they are saying. I mean, how to do it. They're saying, okay, first set the box sizing to border box. think we know what is this property box sizing, but then we also understand what is border box, which means whatever width I am giving, you know, this includes padding and border along with the content. That's what is box sizing border box. Okay, so this width includes everything. And now you see these are those 12 columns. Yeah, this is how they're having 12 columns. Column 1 means it will take 8%. Column 2 means 16% of the width. And they're, you know, they're also floating. I mean, the whole technique they've given, okay? How do you do it? For example, for a header, yeah, for an header, if they have to give some style, let's see what they've given. No, they're, I think, having what is called as a row and columns. Yeah, they are defining columns. So you see, for this element they are giving 3 columns. For this element they are giving 9 columns. Together it is forming 12 columns, which means if at all I want to make, you know, of a layout let me show you. So let's say I want to make a page where my layout looks something of this sort, where I have a fixed sidebar and then I have a main content here. In that case, they are telling, so you have divided entire screen into 12 column width. Then in that case, you apply 3 column width here, 9 column width here. And we are giving the width not hard coded, we are giving width in percentage. Okay, this is basically a grid technique. Again, grid definition, you saw how they are defining each column width and all. Okay, so this way what happens? So even if you adjust the screen in a smaller desktop, bigger or larger desktop, this continues to take 3 column width, this is continues to take 9 column width. And in smaller screen size, let's say if it is in mobile, then we say you take for the, so the mobile screen width is so small, then for the entire desktop, now we have sidebar which is will be done for the, but the entire content is going to get full 12 column width. Okay, so I know you did not follow much here, yeah, but that's okay. Okay, so okay, this is something, this is one of the option, you know, how you can actually make things responsive. Most of the libraries will use this technique, or this is also one of the technique is used by the libraries, but we are not going to use this much here in practice. But just to be aware, there is one solution like this also which exists. So where you define a column width 8%, 16%, yeah. So based on which column, let's say you give column 3, then you are, which means you are giving 25% width to that element. 25% can be 200 pixel, it can be 400 pixel also. We don't know how much it is. Yeah, it is based on the screen size. Yeah, also as a unit, we know percentage means it's not fixed. It is percentage of its parent element most of the time. Okay, so next we have another important technique to learn, which is called media query. I think this is what we should actually understand a bit, and this is also used in practice. Yeah, so previously we learned with the viewport, they suggested to use media queries. Using media queries, adjust the content both for small screen and large screens. Medium, it is okay, I think it will be visible. Okay, so I think one more point I think I will make it before I forget. See, today, you know, everything we design like what is called as mobile first approach. What is it called? Mobile first. Earlier, when we started, we were doing desktop first. Yeah. So I'll say in other words, today, so we do design our page both for mobile and desktop. And in that case, one of those, there are two options. Let's say when I'm making a page, yeah. So I will start off with, designing my entire page to look perfectly fine in mobile. And later I will design, how it should fit for a desktop. That's called mobile first. I'm starting with a mobile viewport, and then I'm going to desktop. So the second approach is I'm going to first start off with the desktop layout. I'll first see, I'll make it work perfectly fine in desktop, and then I'll see on a smaller viewport like mobile what I'm going to keep. Now I'll tell you one interesting example. The other time I also told, you might not have noticed. I used to tell a lot of guys who start practicing. So let's say I have a template which is called 40. Yeah. Let's say I want to do it 40. This is what I've told also. Maybe I would suggest also those who want to start practicing writing HTML and CSS. So look at this layout. I think I have problem loading this content a bit. You see now, this layout looks very good, correct? So this is a mobile layout. You see, you don't need much of alignment, you know, layout techniques like flex and all that, correct? So content is laid one below the other. Do you see this is easy to design this in HTML, CSS? But this is how it is going to look like. This site is going to look like in a mobile. So I always suggest people who start HTML, so first design for mobile viewport. With that, you don't have to worry about much about alignment, correct? And then later we learn this technique, okay? How do we make alignment in the desktop and all? So we learn flex and all. Then we are now learning media queries and all. Then you make it work for bigger screens where you need to fit the elements side by side. Yeah, you may have to fit too many elements in one single line. For example, this side by side. This needs an alignment. So this technique. So this is just an example of what is mobile first, and then gradually we are doing it for desktop. Okay. Now, okay. So I just told you two keywords. What is mobile first? What is desktop? So let's get into what is actually called as media query. So this is a one type of syntax. We write this is done using one at rule. Okay, one at rule. If you remember 2 days back we learned what is called at keyframes. That's one of the at rule. So here we are going to use an at media rule, and through which we target the CSS. Okay, so we write a lot of CSS properties, but using this particular rule we can conditionally apply the style to a specific viewport or to a specific feature. We would say specific feature, yeah, and to a output. Okay, let's understand slowly what it is. So here we have a simple example. The example says at media only screen and max width 600 pixel. So this is how we write a media query. Yeah. So since we are using at media rule, that's why the name is called media query. So now we are saying that if my web page is displayed on a screen, yeah. So if you remember we discussed earlier, this web page we not only use for displaying it on the screen, sometimes even we use it for print also, correct? There is a screen media, there is a print media, yeah, media type I should say. So those are the two media types where we find web. Yeah, not like video, audio, and all. Yeah. So here we have two types of media, and we have got what is called as feature here. This part is called feature. This part is called type in terms of the syntax. But more on the syntax later. So what this style is basically doing. So this selector what I have written within this media query is only applied if this condition is satisfied. If this condition becomes true, screen and max width 600, then you put this background color. Otherwise, this particular style is not at all going to be applied. Yeah, this is an example for media query. So let's see what happens now. So we have written max width 600. What is the width now? 753. Correct?
Okay.
Yeah. So you see by default it is having a background color of light green. On top of that, I am writing a media query saying if at all I have a media which whose max width is 600, then you apply these styles. So let us see. Let us max width is saying 600, which means even at 600, I should see this width being applied or this style is being applied. So I'm just taking it to 600. Let's see what happens. Do you see a difference now? Or do you see a change? At
Yes,
600,
sir.
light blue. At 601 and above, you see a different style. So which means this style is only applied, yeah, the selector and the style is only applied if this condition holds good. So likewise using media queries, we target, okay, so max width 600 means certain viewport, max width 450 or 480 means certain viewport. I would like to have a different color. Yeah, so I can target different set of styles so that my content looks good in that particular viewport size. Now see, in 600 we're making it light blue. Again, if I go further below 480, do you see it is applied? Okay, I don't see it didn't get applied. Okay, let me put this reversed. Okay, let me reverse this. Oh, sorry, I think didn't click on run. Okay, so for I only typed. Uh, yeah, I only typed. I think I should keep it down. I didn't click on run. So now I have put max width 600. Yeah, so what it means, up to 600 it is going to apply this. So that's why we are seeing this. But now I'm saying up to 480 I want to apply this. Few days back we have learned what is called as specificity and specificity, too many conflicting CSS, how CSS is whatever style which is going to come in the end is going to win. So when there is a conflicting value for a given set property. Okay, so let's see now. So I put 480, 480 not applied.
Sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
Okay, my breaking. I think you're saying
Hello,
I'm
sir.
breaking, correct? How about now? Did it improve? Did it improve? Guys, no? Can't hear me? Still?
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Just a second. Not sure what. Oh, I think. But now I'm audible. I think it was
Yes.
some loose connection at my side.
Yes, sir.
So I was saying we were adding one more media query. Okay, so I added a media query and then I put style for max width 480, and I was just showing, see, using different width we can actually target different set of styles. So this is light blue. I wanted it to be red, light red for background color. Not sure why it is applied. Yeah, why it is not applied. So let's inspect and see quickly where this style has gone. I was also trying to tell you that we have learned what is called as cascading and all that. Okay, I think this value is not there. Okay, this is not a right color. That's the reason I think it didn't apply. Otherwise, you see now. So you think like now on a mobile screen it is red, on a tablet screen it is light blue, on a bigger screen it is green. Just to illustrate that we can apply different styles using media queries on a specific viewport size. Now using media query or using the syntax that is called media query, we are querying the media to see if it matches this condition, and we are applying the conditionally styles. Okay, so in what are we going to write here? So we don't write every CSS what we have written for uh, you know for normal layout. Let's say now we have started with desktop first. So this is like default is written for desktop, and then slowly is trying to cover smaller and smaller devices. So in these media queries, we only write the CSS which needs to be changed from here to the smaller viewport. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm saying we don't repeat the whole style. We only write what is to be changed or what is supposed to change. Okay, right.
Yes, sir.
So let's move on. So now, so this is what is actually a media and a sample syntax. Yeah. So we will learn there are different values that we can give. So you saw that at 600 it was changing the styles, correct? Yeah, it was changing the style.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is actually called a breakpoint. What is it? It's called a breakpoint. That is, so that's a width at which our one more media query or a new media query comes into effect. It is going to break, correct? So that is actually called media breakpoint. So we will understand. So this is, so basically this 600, 480, these are called different breakpoints. Here it is one breakpoint. I'm adding another breakpoint. Okay, so more on this. Now, the earlier example, we had this grid view example, right? Yeah, that can be done with the help of media query like this. So where we can adjust the width values. Okay, so or we can have another breakpoint. So basically he's telling the same grid view concept using media queries. Okay, how do we write? Meaning how do we change? Now you see 768 is giving a different style when minimum width is 768. Another one when max width is, yeah, I think he has defined minimum width 600, minimum width 768. Okay, so yeah, he's trying to tell you what exactly is the way to do, yeah, way to do for the grid view layout. Okay, so before getting into what exactly all these breakpoints and all that, so let's understand the syntax a bit. With syntax, the media syntax. So that will basically help. I think here he has not talked about it. So let's me go to mdn at media. Yeah. So this media is used for a CSS media query. So now if you look at the syntax, So this has a syntax like this. The first thing is, yeah, at media, yeah. So we use at media, and then we say screen. So that screen is actually called media type. So we can mention the value of all, which means all type of devices. Yeah, I'm saying at media. If I use at media, the second value is called media type. In short, I'm saying empty. And then we write what is called as a feature. This is the standard syntax, or this is how the syntax of media looks like. Here the media type value can be a value of all, a value of screen in case if you want to apply this, yeah, query only in case, of a screen. You don't want it to be applied on a print. Print is another value. These are the possible values of media types. Yeah, media has a syntax empty, which is nothing but media type, can take these values. By default, if I don't mention, even I can write media query at simply saying at media, yeah, and a feature. In that case, the default value of media type is all, which means you are writing basically this media query for all the types of media. The second thing, so what exactly is a feature? We already saw an example. So in the feature query, yeah, in the feature part of this media query, we now selected a type. In the feature, we are saying, max width, or we use even min width. Getting what I'm saying? Let us say I use max width. Yeah. So let me tell you what all the features, and then I'll come to you telling you what is the difference between max and min width. We can also use what is called another thing feature called orientation. Specifically in mobile, we have landscape and we have got portrait. Correct. So this feature, you know, will give. We can apply. Let's say if I have landscape mode only. Let's say I've kept the mobile in landscape mode, and that time only I want to apply specific style. So there I can just capture, okay, if the orientation is landscape, then apply this style. If orientation is so and so, then I can apply different style. So like this, we can write the feature. Yeah, these are the different features. It is not just max width, min width, orientation. These are very common values. But I think we can, yeah, we can mention so many other values like for example, device mode, yeah, display mode, device width, color index, and then we have got height, yeah, over itself. So these are the different media features. But most commonly used is max width, min width, or orientation. Those are enough specifically for making things responsive. And then we have got logical operators also. Yeah, and meaning just like how we have, you know, only, yeah, we saw. Okay, so we saw an example at previously like only screen, which means I would like to only apply for a screen. Yeah, only for print. That is one operator. We can also use and operator. Let's say I want to use a combination of media type and the feature. Yeah, and let's say you want to negate. So these are like logical operate and not or. I think you can easily understand. So basically, these are the operators which we can actually start using with media. This is in terms of the syntax. Okay, this is in terms of the syntax. Yeah, you can also uh, yeah, write like this at media print without feature. Yeah, at media feature one, I mean type, yeah, so and so. This is another example, only screen and minimum width and maximum width and resolution. Yeah, even resolution also can be given. Okay, now with this, let me explain you what exactly is this min width and maximum width, because this is important for our concept, which is responsive design. So far we just understood in terms of the syntax, okay, how to write syntax, what is there. In that, more, commonly we use either max width or min width, and basically these we use for, writing a lot of breakpoints or fixing some breakpoints. Before that, let me explain you what is max width 600. So we know what is max width 600, but in terms of media query, the meaning it says, right? Yeah, you start applying this style up to when the when the media is the screen is up to 600. Given style, you will apply from 0 to 600. If it falls within that 0 to 600 range, then only you will apply. If it is, let's say, 601 and above, then this given style is not applied. That is what is max width, which means up to 600. What if I say minimum width 600? Which means I am saying minimum the width of that, you know, a screen or a print should be 600. Okay. And I don't have a limit. I'm saying start with 600 and beyond. I'm not saying where it will end. It's again, we can there can be a screen which is like 4200 pixel itself. I'm not telling where it will end. I'm saying minimum 600 it should be there. In that case, whatever style I'm going to apply will be applied on this. Yeah, the difference between what is max width and what is minimum width. Orientation, I think we can easily understand. We know what is landscape. Yeah, so landscape is nothing but this is portrait. This is how your mobile looks like. But at times when we are watching, videos and all, we keep it like this. This mode is called landscape mode. So using orientation feature, I can target style for landscape mode also, or even I can apply, I can target a specific style for this mode as well. Is it clear what I'm saying now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So with this, let's understand one last concept for today, which is different breakpoints. I told you what is a breakpoint. Breakpoint is, the value, the exact value where this condition becomes true or where this condition holds good. Now we have got standard breakpoints. Okay, earlier I wrote for 600 something, 480 something, default something. But then how do I choose this value? 600, 480? Should I, why not choose 420 or 440? Okay, so people have chosen some standard. Okay, they say you choose the standard values so that you are covering most of the device width. Again, why we are writing media queries? To make things responsive. Yeah, even on a different viewport size, we just want to make our content looks good and also easily accessible, usable. More than looking good, it is accessible, usable basically. Usability should be there. So now they're saying, so these are some standard breakpoints. You write one for max width of 600 pixel. If you write using this media query, you can target all the small devices. especially phones. So they are saying these are the typical device breakpoints which you should write, and in that breakpoint you should add an appropriate style for so and so devices or device sizes. So now we are saying max 600, meaning you are writing a style up to 600, starting from 0 till 600 if you just have only this breakpoint. Now what is small devices? Again, this is extra small. Now we have got another standard breakpoint which is called small devices, portrait tablets, yeah, and large phones. You can write another media query where here you can target, yeah, these particular devices. In that case, you have to write minimum 600, meaning 600 and beyond, consider it as a portrait tablet or a large phone. So likewise, you see they have defined a lot of these values. So they have defined for landscape tablet, laptop, desktops. So in practice, what do we write? So let's say I want to make some web page fully responsive. I will consider these kind of breakpoint values, and I will make sure that in all this breakpoint my content is looking good. I will adjust the style, yeah, such a way that so my content is perfectly fine in all those different device types. I cannot write for each and every mobile and screen size. I cannot hard code. So these are like a generalized breakpoints through which we can say if you target 600, most of the small devices like phones are actually considered. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, so that's how these breakpoints are also chosen. So likewise, if at all you have to make your web page responsive, they're saying, and you want to make specific layout change for a small device. Let's say you don't have any changes, then you don't need to add this breakpoint. Let's say you think there is a change you need on a landscape tablets or in medium device like laptops. In that case, yeah, you write this media query. They're just giving you standard ways. Okay, these are the breakpoints using which you can target these kind of devices. In those devices, you need a different change, or you need a different layout, or you need a different content, then you adjust within this media query. Is it clear what I'm saying now? Yeah. So, so again, orientation, I can write orientation, landscape, so on. So, yeah, you can even see that. You see, there's an option to see the orientation here. Now, by default, it is light green. Okay, is it light green? Yeah, now it is light green. Yeah, and if orientation is landscape, we can also test here. You see, it becomes light blue. And this width is also kind of a landscape. I mean, this is landscape width. This becomes portrait width. That's where we see a different color being applied. So likewise, media, these are actually called as media queries. So using media queries, you can write a lot of styles. For example, if you look at this example, now see this, hide these elements on different screen size. You know, so since it is having a 753, this element is visible. But on a smaller device, I don't want to show this. Example, your menu bar. Yeah, especially menu bars are not visible in mobile, correct? Do you see a big menu bar in mobile? No. We want to hide that, correct? How? You write a media query. And in that, implement what style you want. You want to display none, which means this particular element will be hidden, or basically not hidden, it is removed from the DOM. Yeah, I go for a bigger viewport than that 600. See, the element comes up. This is an example to show you how you can hide certain elements, yeah, and certain size, certain viewport sizes. It is also possible not just changing some background color, hiding element, removing element. You can also adjust the font size. Correct? It is important to have a different font size. Correct? On a smaller device, we need big font size. On a bigger device, it's okay even if you have a less font size. Do you agree? Because in mobile you see a text should be readable. Otherwise it becomes very difficult, isn't it? So here you can adjust the size. Okay, here you can adjust the size of the text. Let's say body, you would like to change the text size. In that case you can go for even adjusting. So likewise you can now decide or kind of see what all properties needs to be changed. Okay, so this is what is actually media query, and what I know what is the syntax. Yeah, I'm not literally showing you how to make this layout. Tomorrow what we will do, we will make one layout like this, and through media queries we will try to understand how to write this layout and also how to write this layout. I'll show you with an example.
Okay.
Yeah, so there we'll apply media queries. So today you're learning what is the concept of media query or why we have media queries. All right, yeah. So we have also got how to make images responsive and also videos responsive. I think these two are the extra techniques we should learn. I think with that I'm also going to show you an example how to write a media query. Now see, these are the techniques we are actually trying to understand. Yeah, you know, the techniques to make things responsive. But if you come to a lot of the CSS concept which are already we have studied, for example, flexbox. Yeah, for example, let's say flexbox. Is it not responsive? Do you see it is not responsive? Is it responsive or not responsive? It is fitting, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct. But though the content is fit, I mean, okay, here there are 2 points. One is, so a lot of the flexbox properties, they are made responsive by default. You don't have to follow all these guidelines now. They're made actually, they're already made to fit, and by default, you take even a normal paragraph, a div. You see, is it not responsive? Is it adding some scroll, this paragraph and all? No, it is just simply wrapping. It is usable. The paragraph is readable. You see, whatever bigger screen, smaller screen, it is readable. Okay, this is one point. Yeah, most of the things are by default made responsive. That's what is CSS. I said CSS now it is kind of mandatory to say that things should work in mobile also. It's not just desktop you do and then things are done. On top of that, what I wanted to say, see, though they are responsive, some of these you may not like this is how you want it. It is the default. This is the default behavior. This is how it's all squeezed. But what if I want a minimum layout, minimum size for all this? And what if in this smaller layout, you want to show it in 2 rows? That is when you go for what is called as media query. The extra style you are going to write. So that this is fine, but not good enough. So it's not usable. Then I would like to show them in 2 rows. Getting what I'm saying? So then I might write, okay, at media, let's say screen, yeah, and you know, uh, max width. So let's say write 600 pixel. What I want to do? All I want to do is the flex container. I would like to make wrap. So let's see what is going to happen. What is that style? I want to write flex wrap as wrap. Default value is no wrap. And this is what earlier I mentioned. I don't want to repeat the whole style. I would like to apply only what is a change which is required from this to this. Because this base any of this is applied. CSS is cascaded. So let's see. With the wrap, what is happening now? See all this, assume like these are all buttons or some keypads. So are you not able to see or use them? Are they not fitting fine in a smaller viewports? With what? With just simple style change. So we only adjust what things needs improvement in the corresponding viewports like this. It is perfectly fine in large. No need to touch. No need to write another media query. Wherever you need things to be fixed, there you apply this media queries. Clear? Okay. So I think with some more example, we'll make things more clear. But this is a fundamental concept of how we make things responsive or how we make a page in such a way that it, it looks good in all the different screen sizes.